To order the Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting of September 8, 2021. The Zoning Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial board created by the City of Ames. The board's purpose is to decide on applications for home occupation permits, special use permits, exceptions, and variances to the zoning ordinance, applications for conditional use permits in the floodplain, requests for reasonable accommodation because of a handicap, and appeals of decisions of the zoning enforcement officer. As a board of the city, we welcome all testimony. We make our decisions based on the facts and evidence as allowed under city code and presented in open meeting. Testimony before the board must be given under oath or affirmation. If the proceedings become lengthy, we may ask that testimony be focused on new facts or evidence not already presented. We ask that you come to the microphone if you wish to speak so that your testimony will be audible and may be recorded. Before speaking, please complete an orange information card and hand it to the recording secretary. When you are testifying, please address your remarks to the board. We also ask that the proceedings be orderly. The Zoning Board of Adjustment is an independent volunteer board of citizens. We are not part of the city administration. We are served in our efforts by Vicky Fielmeyer, Assistant City Attorney, Julie Gold, City Planner, and Renee Hall, Recording Secretary. The order of proceedings for each application will be as follows. First, an oral statement summarizing the issues and procedural steps will be presented by the staff. Second, testimony and evidence will be presented by the applicant. Third, testimony may be heard from any members of the audience who wish to speak in support of or in opposition to the appeal. Next, the board will give the applicant and the city staff an opportunity to present concluding summaries and arguments. And finally, the board will discuss the issues and evidence and come to a decision. The first item in the agenda is approval. As soon as it opens, I will let you know what the first item on the agenda is. Approval of the minutes of the meeting of August 11th, 2021.
Move approval.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Bowers, second by Shapaw. Everyone, 1 second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. We are now going to propose a brief recess of 15 minutes.
Up to 15 minutes.
Up to 15 minutes.
That's-
We
so,
may start sooner than that. Do we need to make a motion for that?
I think you've got the power to do that as the chair.
Okay.
Okay. We will take a brief recess of up to 15 minutes if everyone can stay in the general area.
Do you understand what we're doing?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
We are missing our one more member on the board chair. And with her, we would have enough people so that if one of us votes differently, the motion can still be passed.
Okay.
So it's, I think, if you understand that and can stick around, as soon as she gets here, we will continue. Thank you. Okay.
Get up and do jumping jacks.
So yeah, up to 6:20, hopefully.
I've already got my steps in for the day.
Okay. And the second item on the agenda is a request for a variance to allow a rear yard setback and front yard setback encroachment at 1227 Carroll Avenue for the construction of a detached garage. Julie.
Good evening. So yes, the property is located at 1227 Carroll Avenue. This is East 13th Street, Carroll Avenue. There are 3 residences along 13th Street. And then this district is UCRM, oh my gosh, I'm just blanking on the U. Sorry, urban core, medium density residential. And then you have some doctor's office, dentist, and some office uses and different zoning surrounding it. And then more residential on the other, across 13th Street and across Carroll Avenue. The request tonight is for a 24 by 36 garage, which is 836 square feet. There's some unique situations about this property and the way it is sited. So the house was originally built almost 100 years ago. And at that time, 13th Street was considered the front yard. So 13th Street, the house does meet the front yard setback. This would then, the rear is most opposite the front by zoning code definition. So then this would be the rear yard, which would have a 20-foot setback from here. And this would have the 15-foot setback. And this would have had the 6-foot setback. There was a change some time ago in the zoning code that changed how we define a front yard. It used to be you could choose when you were on a corner lot which one would be your front yard setback. Now it is to be what is address, where you're addressed off of. So because of that, that's how we interpret front yard anymore. So it changes things. So the house doesn't meet the front yard setback. I've drawn these lines and they're kind of hard to see. So it puts a 25-foot front yard setback approximately right here. And again, rear yard being the most opposite of the front, this becomes the rear property line and a 20-foot 20-foot rear yard setback. So that really only leaves you a strip of 5 feet of buildable area. So essentially the lot is unbuildable. So there you can see the existing garage. Well, there was an existing garage. It's one car. It's been demolished, but it did exist at one time and was non-compliant as well. So the applicant is asking for a variance from the rear and front yard setback. So the rear yard, he's asking to go down to approximately 3 feet. For a detached garage is an accessory structure. An accessory structure is defined as subordinate to the residence or the primary use. That doesn't necessarily mean smaller in size. This is a pretty large detached garage. But subordinate in use can be interpreted as well. And there, with those accessory structure guidelines, when you are wholly within a rear yard in some other situations, you can have a reduced setback to 3 feet. So it's not uncommon to see an accessory structure within 3 feet of a rear yard in some situations around town. And then also because of the size of the garage that is encroaching into the front yard setback a couple of feet, you can see right here. Another thing that makes this property unique because of the way the setbacks are set up on the site, you are required by code to have 2 off-street parking spots for a single-family residential. The code does not require that they are covered, but it does require that you have room for 2 off-street stalls. This site could not even accommodate that requirement because you cannot park in a front yard based on our zoning code requirements. And we view the front as the all of the facade. So there is a jog in the facade back here. So technically, even though this is the rear setback line, it's also where the front yard begins because of where that facade is. So they really couldn't even provide parking on the site in any manner that didn't project into the front yard. So either way, regardless of the size of the garage, they would need at least one variance for a setback, or you would have to provide or give at least a variance for front yard parking. That's basically the situation. We can walk through all the findings if you want. Staff found that it did meet all of the findings. With the variance, you're required to meet them all in order, to meet the requirements for approval of a variance. Really, that's the main. Like I said, we can go through those individually if you want. An accessory structure, by definition, I mentioned, was supposed to be subordinate. If staff feels that, maybe the garage is too large, you can make recommendations along those lines. However, if this lot does meet the lot size requirements of 6,600 square feet. And if the home were sited differently, if the setbacks were interpreted the way it was when it was built, or if it was this lot next door, if they didn't need a variance, they could easily build the same size of garage without any type of approvals beyond a building permit. So they're really not asking for anything that's not allowed by code, except for they have to have a variance of a setback somewhere. And then based on the size of this, they're asking for those couple of variances. The applicant could not be here tonight because of a personal matter. But he did ask, we talked about what his options were, and he still wanted us to proceed with the public hearing and go ahead and have the board proceed. And I can answer any questions that you might have.
Thanks. Does anyone have questions?
not.
Okay. How big is the house?
The house is only 550 square feet. It's small.
Okay,
Mhm.
thanks. Now would be the time for the applicant to speak to their request. They're not here. Does anyone on the board feel that they need a question answered by the applicant? Okay, great. And now it's time for members of the public to speak to this request. So you can
You can give
bring
it to Renee.
bring up to Renee.
Okay.
Thanks. And then you go to the podium over there. I'll have you state your name and your address.
My name is Sam Schunkweiler. I live at 1217 Carroll. I'm the property just directly south of him.
Okay.
That's
You-
my garage in the picture
Okay.
there.
Do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I'm speaking on behalf of Bruce. I've known him for a long time. Since he bought the property, he's done several things to improve it. Like mostly he paid a fortune to have all of the trees taken down so that he could build this garage that he's hoping to put up. My understanding from talking with him, before he bought the property, he'd been given some assurances by the city that he could go ahead with that. And then after he bought it, he found out that, well, maybe you didn't tell you the right thing or something to that effect. But anyway, I'm all in favor of what he wanted to do. I think it would be an improvement to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
That's it.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming.
Okay. Are there any questions for staff? Discussion? None? We can have a motion.
Move alternative number one, please.
I will second that.
Okay, that is a motion by Bowers, a second by Amar. Could we have a roll call vote?
Aye.
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 Okay, and the motion is approved. Anyone desiring to appeal this decision to a court of record may do so within 30 days of the filing of this decision. Okay. That's it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. We're adjourned. Can I hit this again? You sure?
Thank you for coming in, Wade.